Last time on the Eminence in Shadow, our protagonist Sid, masquerading as Mundane Man, missed his sister's fighting match as he was too busy participating in a match of his own. His upcoming match against Iris looms ahead as we begin episode 19. Iris focuses on her sword practice, reminiscing about her journey from being a young girl who won her first battle to the skilled warrior she is today. With a steely determination in her eyes, she is eager to prove that she has the power to stand up against the divine teachings. Meanwhile, Sid is enjoying the VIP treatment, reveling in the fact that the maids are fulfilling his every whim without charge. Sitting beside him is Iris, who assumes he is there to support his sister. She mentions that she is free today as she too has a duel. Noticing that Sid is sipping on a cup of coffee, Iris comments that she likes the aroma but isn't fond of bitter flavors. Sid offers a valuable piece of advice, saying that with the addition of milk and sugar, every type of coffee tastes the same. Intrigued, Iris takes a sip of the milk coffee and finds it delicious. As Iris continues with her practice, she hears a commotion near the guards. It turns out to be none other than Beatrix, who is stopped with a sword in her hand. Iris recognizes her and explains that she invited Beatrix. The crowd swarms around Beatrix, excited to see her. Beatrix takes the opportunity to ask if anyone has seen her niece, but unfortunately, no one has. The topic then shifts to the competitors, and Beatrix surprises everyone by revealing that Sid has caught her eye. The revelation causes a stir among the spectators, as Sid is not considered to be an outstanding fighter. Some even question Beatrix's skills. All in all, Iris and Sid's interactions, Beatrix's arrival, and the subsequent conversations among the crowd have created an atmosphere of excitement and intrigue, leaving the spectators wondering what's in store for the upcoming duels. Perv Asshat is up to his old tricks again, drugging King Oriana with a concoction that leaves him smelling like a sweet bouquet. But Perv is not pleased with this side effect and orders his men to mask the scent with a heavy perfume. He's convinced that Rose will come to rescue her father, but he's also scheming to use her as a test subject for the cult's experimentation. If Rose fails to appear, Perv plans to use King Oriana as a pawn to trigger a war between kingdoms, leading to the destruction of Oriana and his inevitable downfall. But Perv's plan is not foolproof. As he worries about Mundane Man and his potential to foil his scheme, he also frets about the mysterious Shadow Garden and their possible allegiance with Rose. As Perv takes his seat in the VIP section, Beatrix, the war goddess, calls him out for his stench. Perv is furious and orders her taken away, but Iris intervenes and reveals her identity. Perv recognizes her as a possible candidate for the hero's blood and realizes he needs to tread carefully. As the matches continue, Claire emerges victorious and Iris prepares to face Mundane Man. But things take a dangerous turn when Iris loses her focus and finds herself in Mundane's striking range. Meanwhile, Rose approaches the VIP seating only to be confronted by dead cult members and a group of Shadow Garden members who encourage her to complete her mission. Iris continues to feel a sense of dread wash over her as Mundane relentlessly attacks her, causing her to feel like she is losing limbs. She notices his eyes and the way he shifts his gravity center, and realizes it's all due to his own incredible strength rather than any sort of artifact. As the crowd begins to grow disappointed in Iris, she becomes fed up and launches an attack of her own, only to discover that Mundane was merely manipulating her into thinking he had his sword drawn. In the end, he overpowers her and places his sword at her throat, causing her to wonder what went wrong. Meanwhile, Perv is left in a state of shock after watching Iris lose so easily, and Beatrix decides she wants to step up to fight Mundane. However, Rose suddenly appears and apologizes to her father for her past transgressions, and the king graciously forgives her. Perv is taken aback by the king's actions, but Rose takes things a step further by jumping at him and using her blade to take his life. As Perv's last moments come to an end, he tells Rose he loves her, leaving her to contemplate what she has just done. Mundane then takes it upon himself to reveal his true identity to the group, causing Rose to realize that he is the stylish bandit slayer from her past. She recalls how Sid had saved her from the bandits when she was younger, inspiring her to become a fencer herself. Despite the odds stacked against her, Rose is determined to continue fighting, prompting Beatrix to take on Shadow in an effort to stop her. But with Perv on the run and Shadow's true identity now out in the open, it seems like the battle is far from over. How will the people react now that Sid is revealed to be the wanted terrorist Shadow? Find out after you answer the question of the day. What is one weapon from any anime that you would want to wield? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out, and now, back to the recap. As Mundane Man slips into the VIP setting, Iris catches a glimpse of his true appearance, and her eyes widen in surprise as she realizes it's none other than Shadow. Meanwhile, King Midgar receives some distressing news that the battle between Shadow and Beatrix could spill out of the stadium. Alarmed, he inquires about Perv's whereabouts and learns that the wily character is heading towards the outskirts on a carriage, possibly making a beeline for Oriana Kingdom. But that's not all. The king is also informed that Oriana's king body is in good hands and being taken care of. He advises his men to go through Marquis Grant when returning the body to the kingdom, warning them that the darkness that has lurked since ancient times has taken a deeper hue. As the intense battle between Shadow and Beatrix rages on, Iris steps onto the scene, brandishing a sword artifact. With graceful movements, Shadow outmaneuvers Beatrix, who is left scrambling to block his lightning-fast attacks. Seizing the moment, Iris boldly announces her intention to join the fray. She draws her weapon, revealing an intricate mithril blade etched with ancient runes, which surprises Shadow. Iris is not one to be underestimated, though. With a flick of her wrist, she sets the blade ablaze, transforming it into a massive fire sword. Shadow scoffs, remarking that it's more suited to a festive celebration, but the fiery sword quickly proves its worth. Beatrix and Iris team up to engage Shadow in a fierce battle, each determined to emerge victorious. Their fight wages on as the city serves as their battleground. With every move, Shadow and his opponents exchange strikes and blocks. Using 2 crowbars as his weapons, Shadow fends off both Iris and Beatrix, proving the power of even the most ordinary tools. Despite their best efforts, the trio ends up atop a train, with Shadow warning them to be cautious of their footing. Meanwhile, Rose escapes the stadium, uncertain of her next move. Just as she contemplates her next steps, Alpha appears, presenting Rose with a choice: continue fighting alone or join Shadow Garden. As Rose inquires about the possibility of saving Oriana Kingdom, Alpha explains that she cannot provide assistance at this time. If Rose desires to save her kingdom, she must first prove herself. With determination in her heart, Rose decides to join Shadow Garden. The battle intensifies as Shadow proves to be a worthy opponent. Beatrix finds herself questioning if they have crossed paths before, to which Shadow replies that he only remembers those who have given him a challenge. Taking advantage of his magic, Shadow manipulates the water and uses it to his advantage. But as the fight goes on, Beatrix manages to break his crowbar, giving her a glimmer of hope. However, Shadow proves to be a formidable opponent in both sword skill and physical strength. Iris vows to immobilize Shadow even if it costs her life. Beatrix charges up her attack and strikes Shadow, but he dodges her move and slams her over Iris before stomping them both. The battle rages on with no clear winner in sight. Shadow attempts to leave, but to no avail as the girls manage to stand up and confront him with courage. With a hint of desperation in her voice, Iris tells him that every knight in the city has been mobilized by now and that he has turned the whole kingdom against him. As she speaks, the tension in the air is palpable, and you can feel the intensity of the moment. Unfazed, Shadow starts laughing maniacally and then boldly declares that he is not running. He activates his power and covers most of the city with it, leaving the girls in awe of his abilities. The power he wields is immense, and you can't help but feel the dread that they must be experiencing. With a sudden burst of energy, Shadow begins to cast his I am atomic attack. The girls can feel the heat emanating from him, and it sends chills down their spines. However, just as quickly as he started, he stops before the end and disappears without a trace. As Iris drops to her knees and cries, you can feel her heartache and the weight of the situation. Sherry, on the other hand, reads on the newspaper that the demon Shadow was chased away by Iris and Beatrix, but the whereabouts of Rose, who had killed her own father, is still unknown. Beatrix, feeling defeated, decides to leave the city, but not without leaving words of encouragement to Iris. She reminds her not to take the defeat too seriously, as there are many things mortals can't defeat. Meanwhile, Beta realizes that Shadow's attack was a ploy to keep them occupied and out of Oriana Kingdom. They quickly decide to tie up loose ends, send more personnel to investigate the lawless city, and keep a close eye on the major corporate alliance. Later, with the new school term underway, Sid is left wondering where Skell is. Poe, who is always in the know, informs Sid that Skell has taken a long-term job, leaving Sid to ponder what it could be. As they chat, Poe reveals that he regrets being out of the city when the demon Shadow appeared. The capital was cloaked in magic, which must have frightened many people, especially young girls who needed reassurance. Meanwhile, in a completely different world, Rose and Alpha find themselves in the Kagano domain. As they head deeper into the woods, Rose is taken aback by the magical beasts that infest the region. Alpha fills her in on Shadow's encounter with the Mist Dragon and his subsequent dubbing as ruler of the realm. The two of them finally arrive at Alexandria, which serves as Shadow Garden's base of operations. Alpha wastes no time introducing Rose to Lambda, the one responsible for her training. After explaining Rose's status as a new recruit, Lambda proceeds to cut Rose's clothes, casting away her name and identity to transform her into a pure, unadulterated soldier. As the dust settles, Rose is given a new identity, number 666, and added to Lambda's squad. That's it for the Eminence in Shadows Season 1. Stay tuned for the review and make sure to check out our other recaps.